Well, welcome to Sober Banter. I am Colin.
I am Rachel.
And today we have on Sober Banter, we're thrilled to welcome Dr. Robert Kelly, often referred to as the Gordon Ramsay of recovery for his no BS neuroscience meets spirituality approach to healing addiction. A former musician turned addiction expert, Dr. Kelly has overcome homelessness and addiction himself, and now helps others rewire their brains for long-term sobriety and healing. He's been featured on The Doctors, Good Morning America, and countless podcasts, and he's here with us today to talk about addiction doesn't show up alone. It's almost always riding shotgun with trauma. Let's welcome Dr. Robb Kelly on Sober Banter.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you, Colin. Great to see you, Rachel.
You have a lot of experience in trauma and recovery.
I do. 30 years into the business, 10,000 patients, chronic alcohol addict myself. We knew addiction recovery wasn't working. We knew that the model was broken. So I've spent the last 20 years delving into then wasn't known as neuroscience, but I always knew there was something more. So we created this program that we've been doing for about 19 years in America now that has a 98% success rate and a money-back guarantee if you relapse. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So can you expand a little bit more on what that program, and you're located in San Antonio, correct?
Yeah, I'm in San Antonio, but I have offices in Dallas, Manchester, England, London, Switzerland, Spain. So there's like 5 offices around. But yeah, we've created this program. It's a 90-day program. It's 1 hour every day by telehealth, unless we fly you in. All depends. I work with a lot of A-list celebrities, so we often fly them in on their plane, and they either stay at our house or we fly to them every 3 weeks, but mostly it's telehealth. We use psychology, we use behavioral science. So I'm a PhD psychologist, PhD behavioral scientist, and a neuroscience expert is what I like to say. So I'm actually a doctor, a psychologist, but we open the field and we use stuff like 9D, we use stuff like photomodulation, NLP, subliminal messaging we're big on for changing the way we think, because all my studies and experience tells me that alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism. It's not the problem. I never had a drinking problem when I was on the streets and lost everything. I had a thinking problem. And we've designed this program to change the 3 major parts in alcohol, because alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. The 3 players, hypothalamus, basal ganglia, amygdala in the brain to reset. So we talk about permanent recovery, and that's why we offer the money back guarantee.
One of the things that I did read that I was really interested in was the Brainspotting, correct?
Yes.
I am working with a therapist right now personally, and we have been doing a little bit of EMDR. And from what I understand, they're kind of similar, but they're different approaches. Like they both work with eye movement. I'll let you go ahead and go into that. I'm sure it's a question you get fairly often.
Yeah, Brainspotting has only been around, 10, 12 years. What they found was with the EMDR, with the lighting, people sometimes had a problem with the lighting, flashing and moving. So we contacted this guy who had invented Brainspotting, and we kind of took it to the next level. It's an instrument. It's not this, but it's an instrument where you're going across, and we're looking for, it's a direct input from the pupil to the subconscious brain. So when eye movement flickers a second, there's a subconscious memory that needs to come out. So we work on that, and we also have the 9-dimensional breathwork therapy, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
Can you elaborate too on the breathwork?
Yeah, so it's 9-dimensional. It's a sister company I created called the Breathbox. Breathbox.studios, the website. So it can be done online again. It's basically one direct voice with music around you. So it tells you to relax. There's a lot of breath work because the presence of oxygen equals the lack of disease. And then there's 9-dimensional subliminal messages being programmed into the brain. And there's about 65 programs ranging from 12 minutes to 90 minutes. So yeah, we stumbled upon this about a year ago, and it kind of took our success rate up even higher, and people are getting well. And that's all we care about, really, is people getting well, because I think the likes of AA, which I got sober in AA and spoke around the world on behalf of AA, don't go anymore, don't identify as alcoholic. But what we found is the new neuroscience really, really breaks down in depth what alcoholism and addiction really is, because everybody thinks, you get tight, you him around the corner, he drinks a bottle of vodka a day, he's an alcoholic. Well, alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. 10 DWIs do not make you an alcoholic.
Yeah, technically the diagnosis is alcohol use disorder now,
Yes.
like they do in the DSM-5. And so there's different levels to it, but it's true. And we say that all the time. No one else can say you're an alcoholic but yourself.
Question, for people who don't identify with having big trauma, what are some subtle or overlooked forms of trauma that still impact addiction?
Well, I'm not a believer of big trauma and small trauma. First of all, everybody has childhood trauma. It's the gateway drug. Everybody has it. What happens with alcoholics and addicts is we're more sensitive to that trauma. So normal people go, well, this happened, and this happened. And, it's the way it goes, where alcoholics are born with a brain that's very sensitive, that anything small can stick. Like for me, my mom, how many times have I told you, Robert, you can't go to college like your brother? You're too stupid. That really, really cut me for years and years. So it's not so much it's big and little, it's to the alcoholic and addicts is we're more sensitive and we hear things different. So me and my brother stood on the kitchen table. We're probably 8 or 9. My mom walks in and she says to both of us, "Get down off that table, you stupid idiots. Get down before your dad comes in." My brother jumps off, true story, and I freeze. Well, now, why do I freeze? What I've heard, "No, it's terrible. You stupid idiot." So I freeze. And he took us everything I'm going to say today, we've researched. We're the leading research. We write for Harvard. We do all the great stuff behind it. So when I go back and uncover that, I want to know why I froze.
I was going to say for myself, so I'm also like literally right now I'm in school studying psychology. We're studying the difference between behavioral versus cognitive. One thing I think with trauma, it's not that they don't identify. I think one thing for alcoholics I've noticed is it either has to be a huge trauma or it doesn't, like they don't feel okay calling it trauma. Like you talk about your mom yelling at a dining room table. People are like, that doesn't seem like trauma. There are kids who are locked in closets and abused. So like, I think a common trait is like knocking down the trauma. So how do you help people say, hey, look, it's okay to say that's trauma. You don't have to be like starved for 5 days for it to be considered trauma or be beaten until you were black and blue. There's other forms of trauma.
And I think verbal trauma as well, which the problem is back in the day, or even now, people normalize trauma as parents bringing up children. So me being hit by a wooden shoe by my mom was trauma, but everyone would just get hit. It's no big deal. So I forget about it, but later on in life. So what happens is, as an adult, we don't live the life we want to live. And sometimes we can't keep jobs, we can't keep relationships, we stay in jobs way too long. This is attached to trauma. So again, we kind of not normalize it, but by saying everybody has trauma, people are willing to go into that depth with the tools we use and pull that out, because once the trauma, like I said, childhood trauma is the gateway drug. Once we clear that up and once we redirect and reprogram the brain, our DNA changes. So it's really important that conscious contact, that rewiring of the brain. AA got it right. Psychic change, psychic mind change of mind. I have to have a change of mind pertaining to this. But I think that most people, once they understand, and the other thing as well, I've got to mention, guys, is I've been through it. So when they talk about, I know what they're talking about. I'm not a great believer of therapists who's not an alcoholic or addict or never suffer from depression, PTSD, working with another person that has, because we think differently. And it's really important that connection, whether it's me or my therapist, connection with the other human being is that identification that this is a safe place. And would you allow me just to dig down and see what you think? And of course, you guys know, oh my God, that's it. That's been stopping me for years and years. And it's just the subliminal messaging we use as well is very handy for that. So we pull all sorts of tricks before they even sit down in the therapy room.
You're saying like everybody has trauma growing up, and you're identify that us alcoholics, we're just more sensitive to that, because I feel like there's a lot of like, you can just overcome anything, or that trauma. We had the same trauma, like you and your brother, we had the same upbringing. I'm not an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic. Is there anything that how we figured out why we're just more sensitive, or we just grab a hold of that trauma? Because sometimes I do feel that way, that wasn't that big of a deal, yet it's a bigger deal to that person, and that's the trauma they're holding on to, and I don't realize that because I'm not them. I'm not that person.
Yeah, a brilliant question. I love it. So alcoholics are born, and this is part of our a disease. It's a disease because of the hypothalamus before anybody wants to say it's not a disease. Addiction is not. Drug addiction is not, and we'll get into that. So we're born this way. So we've traced imprinted cells back to fetus level for the alcoholic gene. So part of this, as an alcoholic, you don't have to drink to be an alcoholic, of course, is growing up, and these are our traits. We hear things different. And as we grow up, every sensitive trauma we pick up, brother doesn't pick up, and it becomes that worrying part of the mind all the time. We're looking for something to go wrong. Today, as an adult, the subconscious brain is always looking for something to go wrong 24 hours a day. So the subconscious brain wakes us up in the morning because of lack of oxygen. We have a system that sticks in the conscious brain. This guy wants to kill me, make it look like an accident. This guy's going to do an amazing day today. So we have these little tools that we have to use every single day to make sure that we hit that 100%. But that's basically the situation. I mean, there's a predisposition there, which there isn't with drug addicts. The three parts of the brain differ, of course. When we take the first drink or better off, all these things that we trace back to fetus level it's just part of the disease of always looking for something to go wrong all the time, even as a child. And then what happens is we grow up in a dysfunctional family. So let's say my dad's an alcoholic and maybe my mom. And as a child, the learned behavior and enmeshment we get from parents and caregiving is when mom says, don't put the hand on the stove, it will burn you. And we do it and it burns us. The message we get from parents is you have to trust what everybody says, including mom. So then we grow up with all kinds of things that happen to us. It's a minefield. It really is. I find alcoholism and drug addiction and PTSD mind-blowing and intriguing at the same time because we're always learning and taking it to the next level.
And I've been told that too about going into the world of psychology. There is something about it. I've heard it said both ways in that people who have addiction are always looking for the answer. And that's not my case. I don't study it because I want to one day drink like a normal person. I actually have no desire for that. I don't have the desire to ever drink again because I know how it took over everything. But I'm so curious to help others because I just want to understand what you said. Why did I freeze when this is my sister and I? My sister and I are completely different and she doesn't identify as an alcoholic. And I would freeze from hypervigilance. And that's where we're working on EMDR. I only was able to start working on that in a year sober. So how do you start working on that in 90 days once you complete your treatment program?
I mean, we're tracking you all the time, of course, but after 90 days, job's done. Brain's reprogrammed. Alcohol and drugs do not exist anymore. You will not, especially on the 9D, like I say, we do it online or in person. You notice from the first day, if you don't change 1 hour with me on your first day, go somewhere else. That's what we tell people. It's not a long fix, guys. It really isn't. It's a quick fix. It's knowing what to do, knowing how to get out of it, and reprogramming self-sabotaging neural pathways. So, for instance, 300 neural pathways die every day. What are you replacing them with? Are you going to meetings where everyone's telling you war stories around alcohol? Are you hanging around friends that are no good? And these replacement neural pathways are negative. So we put people on, and 10% of our work is alcohol and drugs. The rest is the mindset and the PTSD and everything. It's day one, they will be on the 9D. And day two, they'll be on the photomodulation unit. We want to be changing the brain from day one here. There's no time to waste. Everybody thinks we have time. Well,
so it's intensive too. You would say it's an intensive program. You're really going to dedicate your life.
There's rules around that. Everyone said, well, how come you got a 98? It's impossible. Well, it's not, first of all. You have to pass an assessment before we take you on. So the rich people come to us because of my name and they want to drop the kid off, leave a check. And then we don't work like way. It's we can't help you, so we're not going to take you. I've turned so many household names down because they wasn't ready. So you've got to be ready when you come in, first of all. But it's only 1 hour a day, but it's intense. And we have rules around it. You're texting 4 times a day. We give you times. If you're 1 minute early, 1 minute late, you get a warning. 3 warnings, you're out. We will drop you in an instant and you do not get your money back. It's made very clear and it's very expensive to come here. So we know we're ready when they start, So we start work day one with them, intense. There's no warming up. There's not getting to know you. When you get out of your car in the car park or when we do online, same things, we know things about you that you would never think we know. So we're always subliminally planting stuff. You come in reception, you will find out what you like. If you're a Cowboys fan, then, or you pull in the car park, there'll be a Cowboys hat stuffed in a head somewhere. When you walk in, one of the girls will be wearing Cowboys socks as Cowboys go for a movie playing on the big screen in reception. They walk in, and there's a Cowboy poster in the therapy room. Now we have your full attention, and you feel completely at home with us because of the identity, the resemblance that we both have the same team. So therefore, we both must trust each other. That's how we start. So there's no building trust up. You get trust from day one. Before you even walk in, you're ready to go. These guys are awesome. They don't know why. These guys are awesome. Oh my God, all the subliminal messages. This is the key to fully recovering from addiction. It's not just one day at a time. That's not even an AA thing. It come way before AA. They adopted that saying. This is permanent recovery, permanent change, doing the things that you want to do. If we're not, as recovered alcoholics and addicts, if we're not taking our life to the next level, if we're not getting that job we're not supposed to, I'm not supposed to do this. I come from the projects, man. I lost my kids. I lost everything. And I'm not supposed to do this. And that's the joy of permanent recovery is, says who? You can't go to America, Rob, and be on Oprah and be on millions of dollars a year. Says who? I proved you wrong. Don't mess with the guy with an alcoholic brain or addiction brain. You're wrong, man.
I've said that often. I'm like, man, alcoholics are the smartest people in the world, addiction or not. But outside of addiction, it goes to a whole other superpower of being able to.
Well, they've been multitasking their whole lives of how to hide this addiction and get their fix at the same time.
Wow.
Well, at least the commonality too, though, that you have is it only works when you're ready. And and that's the hardest part. I think that's what Bill went on to try and even research himself when he got in, like there's the whole psychedelic discussion, but he just wanted to be like, how can I help people that aren't ready for help, but I know that they have a problem? And that's where I think my curiosity starts fueling too, is like, how can I help the ones that are like, don't want the help, but we know need the help. And it is just at this point in time, even science will say, it doesn't start till the person is wanting to be out of that life.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing that I would add to that is when you look at the behavioral science side of it, when they see you, getting on in life, when they see you succeeding, you're leading, they want to be a part of that. It's the mirroring part of the brain. So no, we can't help anybody that's not ready, and we will not take you on. I don't care if you give me $1 billion. We've been often 25 million was the most from a son of a huge movie star. And we said, no, we can't do that. So I think that when they see you leading, when they see you getting on with your life, when we do these podcasts, I've done thousands of these podcasts, and you will never hear me say, oh, can we have your business? If you contact me and want me to work, we don't say that. It's not like, shut up, we don't do that. We don't sell any books. In fact, we'll give 10 away today. It's just, if somebody hears us and hear us all talking today and go, oh my God, is that recovery? Then we've done our job, man. The way we do these podcasts is Courtney found you guys. We turn down about 10 a week. I think I'm on Rogan in November, I think. Like, everybody wants a piece of this, but we don't do it. So Courtney goes around and she spots podcasts and you go, oh my God, Colin and Rachel are changing the world. I'm going to ask if we can be. So we're very humble, ask if we can be on it because you guys are changing the world. So we do podcasts for a whole different idea of other people coming on, wanting to be well known. I'm well known enough, thank you. Wanting to get patience. I got enough patience, thank you. It's like, I have one thing that many people don't have, and that is enough. I have enough today. If you put it in front of me, by God, brilliant. Let's do it. Now, 25% of our work is pro bono. Me and my wife give $150,000 back in cash into the community every single year. Vets, PTSD, or our veterans do not pay a dime in any of my offices. So that's part of it, is always giving back, because we're instructed to have $5,000 in the safe at home and in every office we do. And that $5,000 cannot sit there for less than 3 weeks. If it's more, less than 3 weeks, after 3 weeks, no, you're going to get a telling off. Why haven't you give this away? So I go through an exercise. Oh, here's the safe, and there's $5,000 in there. Tell me what good that's doing anybody. Well, it's not. So why haven't you found somebody or attracted somebody that you can bless? I bless people monetarily on a daily basis. It ain't my money. It's God's money. We have to make sure that happens every day. And for me, this is the whole thing of recovery. It's like when I give somebody, even at the traffic lights, I give someone a $20. My friend said, oh, you know what they're going to do with that? My reply is, first of all, I hope he's going to buy drugs and alcohol like I did when I was homeless. And secondly, it's none of my business what he does with it. I've given, job done.
Absolutely. I want to tie back to where you do say the homelessness, but I do have one of the quotes in my big book that I heard someone say at a meeting is people think the relationship in life is 50-50 when truly it is 0-100 because you give with zero expectations. You give your 100%. And if they give zero back, that's okay. That's what we learn in recovery is you give 100. It is not this 50-50 that people tell you life is all about. But do you think that your bottom, if you want to go into a little bit of your story, probably helps you have that outlook and helps you help people because there are many alcoholics who have not been homeless. Like Colin and I have not been homeless.
We had further to go. We did not hit rock
And
bottom.
now and I like to say that too and appreciate the kind words about the podcast. I'm like, we just wanted something funny, some banter, some like.
And to make it clear, she's the heart and soul of everything.
I am. It's just like, man, there can be fun conversations without making it feel like a lecture or like, I feel like there were times in AA when I'm like past a year sober where they're like using the scare tactic. And I'm like, guys, it is not like, it is serious, but like, it's also life is fun.
Mhm.
Like, we enjoy life without alcohol.
I mean, all you got to do is look what pants I wear. These are the kind of pants that I wear. I don't care. You know, and I wear stupid glasses. So it's conversation starters. Like you've got to start. There's no point in getting clean and sober guys to sit there just being clean and sober. No, it's not about us. How can I help another human being, not alcoholic and addict even? How can I help another human being today? And that's what gets me up in the morning is like, we always have to be giving back. We always have to give thanks to God. We always need to do this. One of the biggest lines in the big book that's misquoted is, I can choose a God of my own understanding. It never says that. It said we have to choose a God as we understood him with a capital H. And step one, we're all powerless. Nope. Say it again. Well, we're all powerless. Nope. Words matter. We admitted we were. It's past tense. I passed 3 liquor stores on the way to work today. I'm not powerless over alcohol. But, you know, one of the brainwashes that I'm not powerless. It's gone. The compulsion to drink had to be taken away from me. And therefore, my behavior needed to change. And I needed to be successful. Like I didn't see my girls for 30 years. They didn't want anything to do with me. And 4 years ago, my eldest daughter contacted me. This is what happens in this world when you do things right. So she contacted me in the middle of the night. In 3 hours, you can imagine we have people around us. We run several multi-million-dollar companies. So we're on a plane back to England. I stayed in a hotel overnight. I'm so scared. My wife, we walked round. I couldn't knock on the door, guys. I'm crying. What a waste of time. What a piece of crap you are. And she opened the door and we hugged and we cried. And then she took me by my hand and she walked me into her living room and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. That's recovery. That daughter is now my lead therapist in my Manchester office. That's recovery, not the money. The money will come if you want it, but believe me, it ain't going to make you happy. It really isn't. These are the things that make me happy today. Watching the eyes bright, watching parents. We've got thousands and thousands of cards of people, especially parents. Thank you for saving his life. We've got our own son back. That's me paid in full, guys. When I hear stuff like that, and my daughter in my life, and my granddaughter, and 3 months ago, my youngest daughter contacted me on Facebook. So, we get everything back,
Yeah, but in the beginning, I think one thing I just thought about too is I think when I walked into the rooms of AA, which I didn't even know that it was going to necessarily work, is at that point when I walked in, I was powerless over alcohol because at that point I could not stop drinking on my own. And it was that time that, there's another way. And it was I jumped in and did very intense work immediately, but it didn't take long for the obsession to actually go away.
No, it's not. People think it's week as a month. It's like, if you look at the biggest saying I hate is you didn't get well overnight, or you didn't get sick overnight, you can't get well overnight. That's not true. The third alcoholic recovered immediately, the book says. Immediately. Not days or weeks. Immediately he recovered. And the people don't like that. It mentions 29 times, recovered in the first 164. It mentions on the title page, I will always be recovering. And you're never going to get to the level of life that God wants you to get. Then you've got to look at, what recovered means. Well, back in the day, the Oxford group The reason we call it Oxford Group is 9 out of the 12 went to Oxford University like me. So they use the Oxford English Dictionary. Recovered in the Oxford English Dictionary says this: to gain one's health and state of mind. It's like trudging. We trudge. Everyone thinks trudging is, you're up to your knees in mud. No, go back to the Oxford English. It means to march on triumphantly. And I think the message of AA from that book, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, where the fellowship is being lost. And I think that is watered down message, watered down God, that I hate this, hey, Jimmy, where's your sponsor? Oh, yeah, he wasn't ready. I believe he died, didn't it? Yeah, he just wasn't ready. Oh, man, I'm straight in his face. How dare you take a sponsor? How dare you? How sanctimonious are you to take a not work intensively with him? You disgust him. We've seen all the guys, man, the 85-year-old guy in the corner with 150 years sober, never says a word. Pretty girl comes in. Oh, I'm 25. Shut up. You got nothing to say. Shut up.
It's so true, though.
I know.
It's so
Guys,
true.
man, they really pissed me off. It's like, I was sat in a room one day over here, I think it was, and I'd never been there before. And I'm not the one to keep quiet, by the way. This woman was explaining that she's an alcoholic, but her husband isn't. So last night he drank beer and he spilled a can over. And when she got up this morning, the dog was licking the alcohol. Do you think he's an alcoholic, the dog? Excuse me. That's why God gave us therapists and doctors. Shut up. That's not a solution. AA should be a pet rally. It shouldn't be, because you get one chance when that guy walks in suffering from untreated alcoholism and you're bragging about your 5 years and you're as miserable as crap.
Yeah.
You're not doing it right.
Speaking of, though, like AA, I know a lot of times when people relapse and they've gone to AA and it might be blamed, well, they didn't follow the 12 steps closely enough. They didn't have a higher power. All these other things get blamed of why they relapsed. What would you say about someone that's having issues with relapsing, since you're more into the neuroscience of it all and just kind of subliminal message rewiring everything? Because I thought AA is great as a starting point for me, but now that I'm past it, I don't need to go every day. I go maybe twice a month, just more so because I really like the group that I found. I connect with that group. It's more of the connection. But as far as someone that's relapsing, I hear that a lot in the groups I go to. It's like, oh, he didn't have a higher power. He didn't follow the 12 steps hard enough. And to me, I'm kind of like, well, that's a little bullshit. But
yeah, it is. People want to say AA is the only way. It's not. Like I said, I got sober in April. Let's look at the reality of this. If you keep relapsing, you have childhood trauma that's unresolved. And that is attached to what's called the basal ganglia in the brain. The basal ganglia is our repetition, strength, and confirmed part of the brain. So, when we start driving a car, we're scared. It's like the car, we've got a Mini and it feels like a bloody Rolls Royce and we're scared. And that's the basal ganglia learning that driving thing. In a few months' time, we can reverse down the driveway, talking too long, waiting to the girlfriend, listening to music at the same time. That's the basal ganglia. What happens with alcoholics and sometimes addicts is, if you can imagine a clock face, 12 o'clock, we go on a bender. 10 after, we come sober. 20 after, the wife lets us back in. Half past, the kids come back in. And at 22, we're offered that job we've always wanted, to be self-sabotage at TED Talk, childhood trauma. And that will always set to self-sabotage all the time, unless you sort that stuff out. What happened to it here is 100% what's doing to you now. You cannot correlate in your own mind that it does 100%. So if you keep relapsing, it's not that you're weak. It's not that you can't stop drinking. It's not about the alcohol, guys. I keep telling people this. It's not about the alcohol. What's really going on in your head is you have unresolved childhood trauma that doesn't seem childhood trauma to therapists, and it doesn't seem it, but it is, and it sticks there and it'll kill you. That's the bottom line. So you have to look at, what are you doing? You can't, if you're suffering from untreated alcoholism, you can't mess around with this deal. Like you just said, Colin, there's millions of groups that are amazing, going big book all the time, straight out of the big book. We used to have a meeting. I started it some years ago in San Antonio. Take no crap of anybody. People are getting well, but you don't have monopoly. If you go to Smart Recovery, if you go to church, you do the same thing, man. It's pretty basic. Sort the trauma out. Okay, make sure that you stop self-sabotaging in all kinds of ways, and then do something good with your life. Be a manager, be a CEO, have children, get you to move forward in life, as long as you've healed the part that's been causing you all the trouble. So when I like, alcohol will never come to me on a Friday night and go, hey, Rob, let's have a drink. It doesn't happen that way. It happens at least a week before. That manager, getting on my nerves now. My children are crying. Bang, relapse. So when that starts here and the drink is there, if you don't catch it here, all bets are off, man. You cannot stop that routine. Yeah, it's impossible. How many times, guys, have you turned back from the liquor store? Never. When I'm in my disease, never. It just doesn't happen. So like I say, it happens a week before when you relapse. And it's just, if it's not about the alcohol, what's it about? It's about the stuff I've been through as a child that I've forgotten about, don't want to talk about, or they've normalized. Listen to this. So here's a prime example with me. So my mum and dad used to, working people, lower class working people, who lived on the project, used to drop us at their friends that they trusted every Friday night. And we used to stay over while mum and dad went to drink, slept in the next morning, they'd pick us up. When my parents' car pulled out the driveway, we had to play what's called the run around naked game, where we run around the children and the adults would chase us and tickle us. That ain't normal. That's child abuse. So then we come up with a saying that people don't like, and that is anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Think about that real deeply. Well, I was sent to the zoo by my professor for a year. I hated that man for that. Watching the chimpanzees and the monkeys, that's all they're taking notes for a year. And the stuff I learned was phenomenal. The nurturing. We don't do that today. While I'm working, I'll get to see my kids until 5 o'clock. That's when the nurturing starts. If you're sticking your kid upstairs on a Game Boy for like 8 hours a day, there's a future addict. There's a relationship to our messed up. There's just, why do you have kids in the first place? I'm so busy. No, you're not. Stop it. Stop it already. Do busy crap with your children. You decide to have children, you nurture them children whenever you're with them. But we don't do that today. We've lost that communication and we've lost that contact with another person because everyone's online. My friend was trying to tell me that his son convinced him that I had 5,000 friends until he realized it was Facebook. And I told him you just plugged into a wall. It's crazy. The society is crazy right now.
When you talk about the power of just that subconscious, you have to be aware of the algorithm that if your kid's on YouTube or playing, it feeds into that. And then they're getting bombarded with all these things they don't know how to handle. And it's just so much content all at once.
Yeah, it's reprogramming the brain, and it'll never be the same again. We need to try and get back to, I know it sounds crazy, guys, Sunday walks in the parks, everybody meet for dinner every night at 6 o'clock. We sit down as a family. I mean, it happens in millions of homes, but we need to, there's millions that it doesn't. We need to get back to that. I can't emphasize enough that once you find out what addiction is and alcoholism, it will blow your mind of what you are actually, because we lose our identity. My identity becomes an alcoholic. That's why I don't identify anymore. Oh, Rob, yeah, he's an alcoholic. My name's Rob, I'm an alcoholic. Stop it already. If you go back to the cancer wars when you've been cured, go, my name's Rob, I have cancer. They go, no, you don't. You've been cured of that. I know, but I'm going to keep going back every night because 19, stop it already. Stop it. Now, I think AA in the big book is genius. There's stuff in that book, guys. Today, we're just finding out with the neuroscience that they were right about neuroplasticity. They said this 60 years ago about changing the way we think. In the medical fraternity 10 years ago, we're all excited because they find out they can rewire the brain. But in 1938, when they wrote that book, it came out in 1939, they were already talking about that. It's mind-blowing, the book.
I don't think they knew what they had at this. And I've talked about that on just recently on our podcast, that you have to understand that like Bill was only a few years sober when he wrote that. And the first book, it was just you're right on the wording, and the wording is so important. It's how the first 100 men recovered from alcoholism. It's on the very first page. I have it highlighted and like I even have it typewritten because it was the first 100 people that he wrote the book. He just wanted to spread the word. I mean, Dr. Bob had a lot to do with it too, and them going up to the hospital and talking to alcoholics. But I think the connection too, and why I will never be able to drink again, is I identify with that elusive feeling that alcohol gave. There was something about when alcohol entered my body, and I do have childhood trauma, that feeling was so elusive, I had to have more. And that's why right now, like I'm not in addiction, but I know if I introduce alcohol to my body, it would restart. it would be that same elusive feeling that I just can't get enough of. At least I believe so. I don't want to go try it, but how does that connection still stay with you? Like after you're recovered, you don't go drink again.
Yeah, well, you don't go to it again, okay? You can stay sober 100%. But what if you look really clear at the human behavior? So me and my friend goes into a sandwich shop. I go, hey Billy, what you want? I get a sandwich. Is that it? Yeah. What about you? Give me 2 sandwiches, 3 bags of chips, 2 cans of Coke. I have to have everything because I'm all or nothing. That's the brain I've been. So when we turn that around to good, it's good. But yeah, I mean, you know, we've because of the trauma and because of being born alcoholic, the first time we take alcohol, which I was 9 years old on stage with my musical family in Liverpool, England, when I did it, we find that place and we find that feeling that nothing else can give us. So every time we do that, we escape the trauma. We escape all the stuff that's been hidden. Really important point here, guys. Hidden in the subconscious brain. So you don't know what's going on, but you can't keep a girlfriend, you can't keep a job, whatever it is, childhood trauma. So that's the nearest thing to replacing all of that. Ask an alcoholic, why does he drink? To get out of my head. Most of them say that, you know, and and the construct and the alcohol is like, if I just stop drinking, hell, we've all done that, guys. Can you stay stopped and be happy in life? Are you in the job that you want to be all your life? Are you married to the girl or guy? Do you live in that house, drive that car you've always wanted to? No. Childhood trauma. And they go, I can't. Childhood trauma. We're limited beliefs all the time. So we're limited to what our parents used to do. So I was supposed to grow up on the project, work for the gas board because my dad used to dig the roads for the gas board, have a couple of children, watch them grow up and die. That was my life. It's been generations around me's life. So why would I be any different? Well, I wanted to smash that. And that's what I did.
If you could have one myth that you wish you could like take away from the recovery community, what do you think that would be?
I'm one arm's length away from a drink. It's a bit saying in there. So I'm not any sober than you. I'm one arm's length away from a drink. It's like, oh, how many people have you killed with that lie? Oh my God. Right? It's like an arm. Is that, I mean, we just get so much misinformation from these. I travel around the world speaking on behalf. I've been to God knows how many meetings around the world. And I can say one thing for sure. And that is around 94% of any person at any one time in any meeting in any country is not the real alcoholic. They're not. Yeah, I went to A for the first time, never drank since. Not an alcoholic. Have you ever had the big book? No, I just keep coming here. Not an alcoholic. Stay away from them guys. If anybody walks over to you and says, "Can I sponsor?" Stay away from them guys. Then there's 94% of non-alcoholics in our rooms. And what happened in the early days was AA had a 99% success rate in Akron and around there. And then what happened years later is the Betty Ford Clinic was born. And what happened to all them people that went to Betty Ford, after you leave, they sent them into AA. And what happened to AA? It buckled under the weight. And we allowed people to come in our rooms and talk shit and talk about, stupid like my carding work this morning. AA was always meant to be the power of God. AA was always meant to be a pep rally. AA was always meant to come straight out of the book and teach you 100% success rate. That's what he promised. Well, 99, because no one believes you. 100% success rate. But we've been watered down. We've been watered down now, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Bill and Bob would they'd cry themselves to death again, looking at what we have now in the rooms. It's disgusting some of the time, So one arm's length away from a drink is definitely something I want to smash, the myth.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I had another question of something you said earlier, that alcoholics are born and drug addicts are made. If you wanted to just elaborate on that, because I know sometimes in the rooms those can get blurred together in whether it's childhood trauma or what, but I mean, a lot of times those things go hand in hand too. I know I had my fair share of drug abuse and addiction as well, but I only went to kind of AA, and that seemed to put a Band-Aid on all of it.
The reason, again, I did use drugs, but I think for me, I was never confused that alcohol was always my primary. That was like my go-to, and the drugs never came before the alcohol.
Well, what happens is 2 things you have to decide you're an alcoholic. Is it in the family? Trace 3 generations back. If you can't find any alcoholism, you are not an alcoholic. That's it. You're not the real alcoholic. It's generational. We're born this way. We're born with a predisposition. We're allergic to the ethyl and the alcohol. from birth, and hypothalamus basal ganglia is broken. So let's look at the hypothalamus and the alcoholic only first. The hypothalamus it controls my temperature, and it also is my survival. It tells the brain from birth we have to eat food, drink water to survive. That is it. It's our primary survival part and why we keep alive. At a certain point of the alcoholic's drinking career, the hypothalamus hijacks the brain and tells the alcoholic to drink alcohol only to survive. That's why I can go days or weeks without food or water. His primary job is to tell us to drink alcohol. That's number one, why alcoholics are bored. Fetal, bang, there's the imprinted cells, bang. When we drink, and many don't, but when we do drink because of, messages back home and enmeshment and all that stuff, because my mum and dad drink, then it just spirals from there. Drug addicts have the addicted personality. Now, they both show up the same, don't get me wrong, but 96, 97% of people that come to us with a drug addiction started in the doctor's office. So we have a big problem with that. Now, that's the difference between the first and the second. And I used to get feedback on this all the time, going, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Until we, Harvard University, printed a document from McLean Hospital, their psych ward. And everyone's starting to go, oh my God. But when they first hear that, they go, that's impossible. It's all the same. It's not all the same, guys. They both present the same, both as hard as hell to come away the first few days. But once you get on the program, whatever that program is, if it's AA, get on the AA program. Not my sponsor said, get on the AA. What does the AA program say? If the steps are supposed to be done in 2 days. It goes next. Immediately, we're going to step 4. After step 5, go home, the book says. Go
It's all in one chapter.
Next day, come back, 8 till 12, done. This is after we have a full knowledge of our condition, which is the first 164. Try looking some of it, not you guys. Guys, try looking some of them words up in the dictionary that you think you know what they meant. It's unbelievable. It's all in the wording. What they're trying to tell us is not getting through today. Miraculous things of miracles will happen to you. What? Is that what miraculous is? There's so many words in there that absolutely blew my mind when I read them. So that's the two differences. We spent $190,000 on research around that, and that's what we stick to today, and it's proven to be true as we go along.
One thing you touched on earlier that I cannot emphasize enough too is people in addiction working with others in addiction and going back, because they don't just get it. And I have my whole big book because I did a big study because I wanted to understand. I need to I want to figure it out because I was alcoholic. I couldn't stop drinking, and I worked this program, and I'm I just want to figure out kind of the science because there's got to be more to it, right? And that's what you did in your career, and it's paying it forward. But I was gonna say I have my big book redacted to the original steps.
Yeah.
Because the fourth published version, that's actually not the one Bill really wanted to go with, but that was where he had a bunch of others saying, oh, do this, do that. And you have all these chirping ins. And really, one of the big ones that was big for me anyways, is he's you have to demand to give yourself to something else other than yourself. And actually, he says, humbly ask on your knees to have your defects of character removed. And people are oh, well, I don't think you should tell people to get down on their knees. People are going to take that the wrong way. And for Bill, he's well, but that was my sign of my commitment, my seriousness, I'm all in no matter what. I used to say, if my sponsor had suggested I'd lick the ground, I probably would have. But I mean, obviously she would never do that. And another thing is we get all these cute little worksheets, which I also don't really believe in because the steps are in the book. Go look. If you want to know how to do a 4th step, go look at Bill's. He was mad at his neighbor. Yeah. His neighbor was hitting on his wife, resentment. His wife, doesn't let him drink the way he wants to drink, resentment. All those stories in the big book are all about someone who had a resentment, then got in a confrontation with alcohol and chose the alcohol over resentment. It's you look at the breakdown of the big book and it's all there. And I don't know if that's how you kind of connected it as well.
No, 100. The big book is one of the most fascinating, and I don't forget my degrees that I have. Okay, it's the best piece of literature I have ever read for the recovery of an alcoholic and addict. Period. As Jack sees it, or Bill sees it, what the called Monetary Purposes Only. Get back to the original paper. What does it say? Not what your sponsor says. What does it say? Right. Once we start realizing all them little words that you think didn't really mean anything, oh my God. I can't remember the word. There's a word that says, it's like immediately we get into, so it's talking about coming out of step 3, I think, to step 4. Immediately, and then on the step 2, next, on to step 5, next, on to step 5. Imagine studying a line at the shopping center, and everyone's being served apart from you in the back, and the guy's going, next. Next. It means go, move on to the next step. It doesn't mean we'll do a step a month. Them guys are going to kill you, man. I wanted a therapist. And by the way, guys, there's 3,000 gods. Just freaking pick one. When I went to my therapist, I wanted to pick somebody that I could go to and vent on because I see so many people. I had 3 lined up. The first one I went in, nice young guy. I told him alcoholic addict. And I said, have you suffered from the addiction? He said, no. But I've been to, and he pointed at his degree. I've got a master's in addiction recovery. And I went, no, unfortunately, I won't do. And he said, well, why? Let's only give you a scenario. You've got a bottle of vodka behind your back, okay? And I'm in a drinking phase, and you won't give it to me. So when I take a knife out and stab you repeatedly in the face, will you get that? Whoa, do I need to call the police? Same with the second one. Got to the third one. She must have been 80 years old, guys. She was an old hippie, straggled down, old heroin addict therapist. And I goes in and I said, hey, before we start, let me tell you a scenario. If you have a bottle of vodka, and after I said, I'll stab you, she went, no, I'll stab you first in the face, then I'll shoot you, then I'll bury your body somewhere. You're my therapist, man. You know exactly how I think. And that's what the big book was made for, is that if you read it the way it's supposed to be read and understand every word, because you can't get well if you don't know what you're suffering for. So the book says we have to have a full knowledge of our condition before we can touch the steps. So I get my guys, we do the steps in 2 days, but it's going to take a week to read the book. We're looking for must words. There's 130 must words, things I must do, get sober. There's 137 messages, not just step 9. There's 351 God words. Oh my God. Promises, messages, all this stuff is in there multiple times to tell you that when it says we must, it means we must. If you're at a road in the right-hand lane, the sign says people in the right-hand lane must turn right. It's a directive straight from the book, but people don't take it like that. People say, oh, well, yeah, it's the choice. We have do as the book tells you. The people that do that is 100% success rate, period. I use the book in my practice, all of them around the world. It's absolutely mind-blowing. We're all powerless. Stop that shit, guys. How many people have you killed with that line? You've got to be really careful. You want to go to meetings and drink coffee and talk crap, go ahead. But you know something? When little Johnny comes back, when he comes in here for his first time suffering of untreated alcoholism, shut up. You've got nothing to say. Well, the only, shut up. You've got nothing to say. This is serious, guys. I think one of the reasons I started the whole business is I got sick and tired of watching people die inside and outside the rooms from lack of information. Well, just if you feel like relapsing tonight, Rob, just take a nice warm bath and then go for a walk. Are you freaking kidding me? When my survival part of the brain is telling me to drink, otherwise I will die. You think a bath's going to do it? You think a walk around the freaking park's going to do it? Nothing will do it. Do what the book says. There's 100% success rate, but you've got to know. And Rachel, this is where I bow down to you. Your knowledge is, I studied the big book. I have DVDs out on the big book in prisons and all that, but know the book, man. Know what the authors want us to understand, then you recover.
Yep. But the biggest line of the book is only, an alcoholic can work with other alcoholics like no one else can. That is the beauty of it. People who have recovered can speak to another alcoholic, not like a priest, not like a doctor. It's just a different understanding. It's a different level. It's like, I feel like right now in school, I'm like, I have a different synapse. Like my synapse messages are just different than how they connect on others. Going back to
never met a person who's on the same level as me. Never. Your knowledge of that and belief in that, Rachel, is absolutely mind blowing. It's like it's there for us. It's there. Now, the new neuroscience today just tells us about different parts of the brain, but it's basically the same thing. The fourth step is childhood trauma. It's just like most of it now we know lies in the subconscious, so you can't really put it down because you don't know. But if you're writing your fourth step for your 20th sponsor that still has shit that you wrote down on your first step, that's not the stuff we're looking for. We're looking for the stuff you're going to take to the grave with you. Oh, yeah, that stuff. You know, the modest thing. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for you stole $10 off my mom 55 years ago when you've done that 100 times before. Let's get down to the real deal here. And that is, if you don't do this, you will die. If you're a real alcoholic, and that's the other people don't. Well, why you say real alcoholic? First of all, it says it in the book. And secondly, how many times have you, Billy around the corner, he drinks every day, he's an alcoholic. That's not true. I mean, it could be, but it's not true. You don't know that, you know? So we want to tag people without, and that's what happens to AA. We've been poured in. I say, my wife's killing me if I don't stop drinking. You know, the doctor said this is, you know, I've come from the psych ward. I've come from a SA charge and they sent me here. It's like, it's no wonder Alcoholics Anonymous is buckled under the weight. It's like, let's get down to basics. Let's get down to go back to the book and see what it says. Then you can add what we do on top of that to understand the neuroscience that we know today. But if Bill and Bob was to be alive today, they would have already wrote the neuroscience stuff 40 years ago. So if you're telling me that two human beings wrote that without the aid of God, I disagree with you. 100%. They could not have known a psychic change. A psychic change is now neuroplasticity. I'm aghast how they would even know that with no scientific research into that. It's mind-blowing.
The way that they broke it down, it's just two alcoholics that, yeah, I do believe there was obvious. I mean, I say, yeah. I think the book, obviously not. Like, did he have that power in himself? Obviously not. And I laugh every time that I'm like, the wit that they used in the book too, they didn't want it to be so serious. So as we kind of come to a close, which again, like, thank you again for sharing your time and your wisdom.
All your knowledge, yeah.
Well, but listen, guys, ROB, if you're listening or watching, I spell my name with two B's, ROBDKLY.com. Jump on there, have fun. Breathbox.studio. This 1 hour session, and I think it's like $35. They've got it as an intro. The $35 that you spend for an hour with this breathwork therapy stuff that we have will change your life in 1 hour. And if it doesn't, I'll refund you the $35. This is what people say when they come off. Oh my God, what was that? I feel amazing. And what we say to them is, no, you don't. You feel normal. This is the way we're supposed to feel on a daily basis. One of the reasons why we're not happy is lack of oxygen. When the body wakes up in the morning, lack of oxygen equals subconscious brain. That guy's ready to go. We have to change that by flooding our body with oxygen first thing in the morning and then rerouting morning work. Like if you brush your hand with your right, left on the week, right, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, reach out. If you're undecided, if you're a businessman, if you're an entrepreneur, you need this 90 Breathbox Studio. You need that because it will take your mind to a different level. It's not really got anything to do with alcohol and drugs, to be honest. That's never mentioned. This is rearranging the way you think with all the subliminal messages. Your life will take off. I urge everybody for $35 to try it. I don't care where you are in the world. It's unbelievable and you have to try it. But yeah, I mean, just any socials, Dr. Robb Kelly, again with two B's, come and friend us, come and say hi. And this podcast only, I have a book. Daddy Cruz doctor said to me when the authorities took them off me. So that's me on a visit, wasted, many years after they got taken off me, ages 1 and 3. That's the girl in my Manchester office right now, Charlie. I got 10 copies to give away. If you go and mention the show or contact me or Colin or Rachel, I'll sign it to you. You can have the book free. We'll pay for the shipping free. It'll be delivered to you within 7 days. Have a nice read on one condition. Pass it on to somebody else that you think will benefit. Don't put this on your shelf. It's not helping anybody on the shelf, guys. We have not sold one copy of this. And after 2 years, I do not intend to sell one copy. This is not for moneymaker. This is a lifesaver.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And thank you so much for, I'll read it. And I promise we'll pass it on. We'll make sure that it stays active.
Absolutely.
I have And I always gave big books away for free. Anytime someone said that they didn't, I would go buy one and give it to them. And I always asked myself, and this would be a good comparison for the $35 class, is would I go get a drink for that? Would I pay a club entry fee? If it were $35 to get into the club and that's where I could drink, would I pay it? Without question.
Handle is $45 that we were paying
Without
every day.
question. And if you can't put that commitment in that same way, it's like, if I would do it for my recovery, why can't I do it? Or if I would do it for my alcoholism, why am I not putting equal, if not more, into my recovery?
That's what we say to people when you come here. We say to people, well, I can't afford it. How much you spend on alcohol? $100 a month. That's your fee.
Yep.
Yeah.
When you come into our meeting, we used to have the meeting, you automatically, there's a couple of wealthy guys, me and another guy, we bought hundreds of big books. You get a brand new big book free and you get a sponsor. And the guy will be, Jimmy, you're up. Jimmy will sit with you, give you the big book as a present, start working you right there before the meeting starts. I mean, we have to give this stuff away, man. I mean, what use is it if we keep it? I mean, saving a life is one of the best things that a human being can do. Because I'll tell you this, guys. I believe in God. Jesus Christ is mentioned in the big book, page 11, second word. But I know when I get to the gates and walk in and stand before God, you know what he's not going to ask me, guys? How much was that house you bought? It was huge, man, 40,000 square. What about that car? How much does that car cost, Rob? That one must have been... No, it's going to ask me one thing. Hey, Rob, how many people did you work with? How many lives did you save by bringing them to me? And I want a big number. So when you're out there today, guys, when you're mixing with people, you never know what people are going through. So I'll finish with this beautiful story I tell when I'm doing my conferences. Guy goes to the Golden Gate Bridge, throws himself off, kills himself, commits suicide. The police pull him out of the water. They found his identification. They go back to his apartment. They're looking for the next of kin. What they find is a letter on the kitchen table, and it read, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, which was an hour's walk, by the way. I'm going to throw myself off and commit suicide. I've had enough. Unless on the way there, somebody smiles at me, says good morning, nods at me, anything like that, communication, I'll stop right there. I'll turn back and I'll try again tomorrow. Question. How many people have you walked past today that's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge, guys?
No.
Yeah. And and ask yourself, and then you know what you can do is you don't have to sit here and think, well, I'll try tomorrow. Just whoever you see today, just for the rest of the day, your next time out, do it. It's never too late to start.
Even just holding the door out for someone.
That was the lie I told myself, is every time I tried, it was, oh, well, I'll start next Monday or next first month, next third. There was always these conditions. And if I've learned one thing in recovery, it's do it. Just do it. Just do it now. Yeah. There's no time like
start now.
We don't have time. Everyone thinks they got time, man. How many times you wave your kids off to kindergarten, next minute I'm waving them off to college. We don't have time. We researched the 7.3 second rule that we have in this company. And that is, if I'm sat on the couch tonight, I've got a big bag of chips, which I don't eat, and a big bag of Coke, I don't drink that either. But let's say I am. And all of a sudden I watch somebody on TV that's pretty in good shape. And I turn to my wife and go, hey, thinking of going to the gym tomorrow. She knows I'm not going to go. I know she knows, the dogs know. Even the cat's walking past going, man, I don't think so. In a 7.3 second time frame, if I get up, go to the bedroom, put my sneakers in and my shorts, put it near the door when I'm going to walk out, there's a good chance of me doing it. So 7.3 seconds is the time for neural pathways to split. You're either going to romance the bad idea or move forward to the good idea. That's the time frame. And if you don't do it, the bad idea, once you start romancing the idea of relapsing, all bets are off.
Very well said. And it's also like like we've both said, it's already in the big book, and it's something in chapter 3 more about alcoholism people miss all the time. And it makes me mad. And I'm like, guys, we literally, like Bill and Bob literally wrote about it. Like they gave 4 freaking examples. They gave 4 examples. So as someone who's studied the big book to another, it's nice because I think it gets overlooked so much more. There's my one piece I wish people just read the actual big book more. Literal pages.
Coming out of schools, Rachel. Every time somebody leaves school, high school, they should get a copy of the big book to read. It should be mandatory because the way he tells us to live our lives is phenomenal. Manners come back. We dress accordingly. We act accordingly. We speak accordingly. They should be given that book. Alcoholic or not. I've took people through that book that has no problems with alcohol and drugs. They're just depressed or they can't get on with life. I can't say enough from it. It's a genius.
The first 164. I'm not asking for you to read the whole stories in the back. I just want 164 pages. It's a fairly easy read. There are big words, but like we all have phones. You can look them up. He does enough that you can inference on what the word means.
Look at the word vital, just real quick. It's vital that you find a power, capital P, greater than it. What does vital mean? Well, guys, if you've ever seen a hospital program or check his vital signs, vital means in the Oxford English, necessary to life. So let's rephrase that. It's necessary to life that you find a power, capital P. There's 3,000. Just pick one if you want to follow the cover. That's just one little word that I thought I knew what it meant. But no, when you say necessary to life, things become real. Well, people are not reading it like that. So take a leaf, guys. Buy the book. I've never read a story in my life. I tore my stories out. I just got the first 164 on a leather cover. That's been around for 40 years. But yeah, it'll take you to a different direction, guys. And if you want even more, the only thing I say is the breath box. Not me. I don't need anybody. I don't need any money, anything. The breath box, man, for $35, you've got to change your freaking life. I'm telling you. Otherwise, I'll refund you. You've got nothing to lose.
Thank you so much for coming on Sober Banter. Thank you for
again. Yeah.
bantering and sharing your wealth and knowledge. I love it. And I am excited to see I'm going to put that as a social, whoever gets the 10 books.
If you're going to message us, just put your full name, your full address and a phone number. And I will guarantee that'll be in the mail. The very next morning, it'll be on the way to you.
Courtney has been amazing. You have been amazing in just contacting and reaching out. And again, thank you for your time. And thank you to anyone listening on Sober Banter.
And listen to this, guys. I'm telling you now, you guys are awesome. And I'm so happy to be on here today. But I'm going to reinforce to the guys that may have not heard this is we turn down podcasts all the time. And it's Courtney goes out and she calls me and goes, hey, because I do like 3 of these a day. Hey, listen, I found these guys. They're changing the world, man. You need to be part of it. And then we humbly ask if I can come on your podcast. And most people don't know who I am, which is even cooler. But yeah, man, she saw something in you that's changing the world. So thank you for what you guys do with the millions of lives that you've saved with that ripple effect we love. And thank you for just being here today. Thank you for allowing me on, man. And if there's anything I can do for you guys going forward, just let Courtney know. If we can do it, we'll do it.
We're just doing what someone else helped us do. And it's just like, we're just trying to pay it forward. And we just want to show that it's not, we don't, and Bill says it too, we are the bright spots in the community now. We're not a glum lot. We don't just sit here, and that's what we're trying to do. So again, thank you. And thank you for listening to Sober Banter.